Kearsarge is a decisive research aviation battleship from the Eagle Union and is a part of the theoretical Kearsarge class of aviation battleship. She's only available from the Priority Research 6 series in the lab section of the game. Kearsarge is based on Project 1058.1 Ship B on page 368 of the book Russian and Soviet Battleships by Stephen McLaughlin, and was designed by William Francis Gibbs. Gibbs envisioned a battleship with 4 turrets, similar to the ones used by the North Carolina and South Dakota classes of battleship, with a flight deck installed where the superstructure would typically be. When fully loaded, the ship would have had a 74,000-ton displacement. For reference, the Yamato class had a 72,000 full-load displacement. Originally, 2 to 3 of these types of ships were to be built as a joint collaboration between the United States and USSR, with one ship being built by Bethlehem Steel Company and the other in Vladivostok. But due to the outbreak of World War II, the Washington Naval Treaty, and ideological disagreements, the ship never left the drawing board. To unlock and max out Kearsarge's development level, you must have a total of 1,000 Eagle Union tech points, accumulate a total of 3.6 million experience with Eagle Union main fleet ships, complete a total of 20 research projects, have 3 Tier 3 carrier and 8 Tier 3 battleship retrofit blueprints, have 60,000 coins, 10 wisdom cubes, and 728 of Kearsarge's blueprints. Keep in mind that's about 215 over what you need right now, but those 215 will be used for when Kearsarge gets a fate simulation in the future. In her character art drawn by YD, Kearsarge wears an extremely tight-fitting white leotard with black trim, a white and black open-chested crop top jacket with gold trim, dark blue gloves or robotic hands, black and purple headpiece, 1 black knee-high boot, and 1 white thigh-high boot. Her rigging consists of a large white halo that floats above her and has multiple tubes going into her back, multiple white armatures with purple lights and black trim to her sides, 2 triple-barrel naval cannons on both sides, holographic wings, and holographic planes taking off from, you guessed it, holographic flight decks. In her voice lines, voiced by Yoshino Aoyama, who also voices Yoshino Nanase in Wake Up Girls, Alicia and Mark in Promise Neverland, Hitori Goto in Bocchi the Rock, Nonoa Miyame in Hides Her Feelings in Russian, Naomi Otoya in Grand Blue, Surumaru Tsuyoshi in Uma Musume, Akishio Rumi in Blue Archive, and Noir in Grand Blue Fantasy. Kearsarge likes to be as productive as possible.
ユニオン所属具現化されし特別計画艦キアサージ戦艦と空母のハイブリッドとして設計されあらゆる戦局戦場に対応する力を与えられた指揮官あなたがこの戦力を生かしてくれることを願う指揮官先に仕事を始めててすまない私のことは気にせず予定通りあなたの仕事をこなして。ご苦労。そのまま休憩して。戦果？あ、そういえば出撃してたのか。すまない。もしかして私も出た方が良かった？雑談なら執務が終わった後に。今秘書官の仕事に集中しているから、邪魔しないで。いつまでも振り返り続けるより、足を止めず先へと進んだ方がいい。己を顧みたくても、その時の情勢に合わせなければ意味がないから。戦いにおいては、あなたの意志より戦局を優先する場合がある。たとえあなたが指揮官でも、裁量を現場に任せざるを得なくなることがあるから、今のうちに慣れておいた方がいい。未完了の任務を確認。あなたがこなさないなら、私の裁量で予定から削除するが、それでいい？指揮能力評価完了。 命令に従うだけで損するとは。指揮官との信頼関係を構築した方が、私の戦闘行動に有益だと判断した。早速だが、あなたの予定をチェックさせてもらおう。相手を知るには、まず情報を集めるのが定石なのでは？
At level 125 with max affinity and development, Kearsarge has 9,389 HP, 441 firepower, 401 aviation, 340 AA, 155 reload, 39 evasion, heavy armor, 30 speed, 81 accuracy, 0 luck, and consumes 19 oil. Kearsarge has 4 skills, which focus on dealing damage and buffing herself. Kearsarge's first skill, Multi-Linked Locking System, at level 10, buffs Kearsarge's aviation and firepower by plus 10%. When her planes hit an enemy, there's a 100% chance to inflict a special burn on them for 10 seconds, and causing them to take plus 8% damage from the fleet's shelling. When Kearsarge's main guns hit an enemy, there is a 100% chance for them to take plus 4% damage from the fleet's airstrikes. If the target already has an AA debuff, they take an additional plus 8% damage from the fleet's airstrikes. This effect lasts until Kearsarge fires her guns again. Her second skill, Functional Amplification Mechanism, at level 10, and if Kearsarge has an Eagle Union or Northern Parliament main gun equipped, she gets plus 10% firepower and takes minus 20% damage from cannons. If Kearsarge has an Eagle Union or Northern Parliament plane equipped, she gets plus 10% aviation and minus 30% load time for her first airstrike. When the battle starts, if there's another Eagle Union ship in the main fleet, and while Kearsarge is afloat, carriers and light carriers deal plus 15% more airstrike damage. Her third skill, Combat Adaptation Module, at level 10, has Kearsarge deal plus 10% damage to burning enemies. When Kearsarge launches an airstrike, a second special airstrike is launched. Every 20 seconds, she fires a special barrage that changes based on whether or not there are burning enemies present. Her fourth skill, Siren Killer, has her deal plus 15% damage against sirens. The recommended equipment for Kearsarge is a triple 406mm Mark 7 for an Eagle Union gun with good shelling damage. The prototype XF5U Flying Flapjack or F7F Tiger Cat for an Eagle Union fighter with good damage and AA. The twin 40mm Bofors STAAG for the best main fleet AA gun. The Type 1 AP and Super Heavy Shells for a buff to crit rate and crit damage, and the Officer's Sword for a buff to evasion and accuracy. Kearsarge is very much a jack-of-all-trades ship. She has main guns, fighter planes, skills that buff herself, skills that buff allies, skills that launch barrages, and skills that debuff enemies. With all of that together, allowing her to be used in pretty much any fleet, but excelling in Eagle Union carrier-centric fleets. All in all, Kearsarge's skills give her plus 20% aviation, plus 20% firepower, a chance to burn, plus 8% main fleet shelling damage, plus 12% main fleet airstrike damage, minus 20% cannon damage taken, minus 30% to her first airstrike load time, plus 15% airstrike damage for carriers, plus 10% damage versus burning enemies, a special airstrike, a special barrage, and plus 15% damage against sirens. The drawbacks are, in my opinion, minimal at best. Firstly, as with all research ships, and doubly so for decisive research ships, there's a massive grind to get her unlocked, especially with main fleet EXP and blueprints. Secondly, she does require an Eagle Union or Northern Parliament main gun and fighter plane to be equipped to get the most out of her second skill. The same goes for having another Eagle Union ship in her main fleet, and realistically, it needs to be a carrier of some sort, otherwise those carrier buffs go to waste. And thirdly, she does have to give up her secondary guns in exchange for a fighter plane slot, meaning that if any bomber boats get by your vanguard, she doesn't have much to defend herself with. Regardless, she's still a great addition to any fleet, especially the Eagle Union carrier-centric ones. High priority to raise, especially when she gets her fate simulation. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Twitter and Blue Sky for updates, and please check out my other Arknights and Girls Frontline videos as well.